Japan is demanding that women have more babies. They are now in absolute and utter desperation mode. For years now, easily a decade, the country's replacement levels have been far below what is needed. And now they are demanding outright that older women, even women in their 40s, give birth to children and they do it quickly. That's how badly things have gotten now. Today's video comes from the Japan Reporter channel. Their channel will be linked in the description of the video so that you can go check them out and support them. Watch to the end of the video to fully understand the implications of Japan now demanding that all women give birth to more children and even women in their 40s give birth, and what that really signals for the future of Japan. Don't forget to follow us over on Rumble. You never really know what can happen on this platform, so go and follow us over there. Our Rumble is linked in the description of the video. And now let's just go ahead and jump right into the video after a word from Angry's Crypto Academy.
It's more and more crucial nowadays, and Tokyo's putting a lot of effort into it, as the city has many young women, so potentially could raise the country's birth rate a lot. And the governor's ultimate goal is
make Tokyo great again.
not to mention extending financial support and making nursery care free. She wanna make sure people keep a good balance between work and childcare. And seems like the governor's confident in what she does.
Tokyo is always moving forward, and my policies is always effective in the future as well.
And what's behind the rising demands that more and more experts suggesting women do childbirth even in their 40s.
いわゆる不妊治療があるから、僕は85%から90%は40歳で産めると思ってるんです。15年、20年、今25年まで伸びて、これがさらに伸びようとしてるんですよ。そうすると40歳で産んでも悠々大学まで行かせられるんですよ。40歳間に合いますよ。暖かい風を吹かしてあげる。東京だからこそできるとも思ってるんです。確かに。そしたら祭りの後始末のモデル事業を東京で作るべきだって考えもありだと思ってるんですよ。
Japan already has the highest number among G7, and nearly half of them are in their 40s. As the trend's getting even bigger today, many women feel safe giving birth in 40s. My sister just recently gave birth at 40, so I asked her about it.
35歳以上からでバリバリ高齢出産に。ああ、40かっていう、なんか、ああ、そっかっていう。まあでも2人目だからね。ああ、そっか。2人目だし、今このご時世だから、まあ40代で驚かれないかなとは思う。まあ、前向きになりやすい環境、時代ではあるかなとは思う。うん。
But some people are skeptical about the trend and raising concerns.
それをもう声大にして言いたいです。こんなんで大丈夫ですかと。これね、人口減るの確実じゃないですか。この政策取ったら。東京都ってほら、お金は有り余っちゃってるんで何でもできますけど、みんな東京都にまた移住しちゃうんですよ。わかりますよね。東京都に行けば卵子凍結できるってなっちゃうから。それってやっぱり本末転倒なので、絶対人口がどんどん減っていっちゃうので、やっぱり行政側がもう少し頑張らないと難しくねじゃないかなっていうのはやっぱり変わらないですね。
He may have a point. This could make the birth rate even worse, which is already happening in South Korea. According to experts report, nearly half of Japan's municipalities could be gone in the near future.
Urbanization usually means lower birth rates, especially if people live in high rises or big blocks of flats. 50% of South Korea's entire population, some 26 million people, live in the Seoul metro area.
He also points out IVF doesn't necessarily end up succeeding. Actually, we have the worst success rate among G7 in those age groups. So despite of the advance in medical technologies, he claims this is not something we should actively encourage in society.
高齢出産はありますよね。だし、健康に生まれない可能性もあるし、いわゆる流産、里親であるとか、なんか代理出産なのかわかんないですけど、他の形で悩んでる人はいっぱいいると思うんですよ、不妊治療で。
Some politicians claim that we should encourage them to do so at an early age.
なぜそんな状況になってるんですか？子供ができるってことは基本的に自然なことですよね。そこに対してサポートをするのが本来なんじゃないんですかね。それによっていいことなんかたくさんあると思うんですよね。体力的にもそうですし、経験的にもそうですし。
Just like other developed countries, average age of first marriage and childbirth has been rising in Japan, and now it's over 30. Some people claim reversing the trends impossible today that most women in Tokyo don't want to do it.
そこに関してはね、変えるっていうのはちょっと現実的には難しい。個人的。
So basically, Japan is between a rock and a hard place right now. The women don't want to have children anymore. The average age of giving birth is now well into the 30s, which is absolutely unbelievable. And the country is so desperate that they are now propositioning for women to give birth into their 40s. This is insane there, and they're trying to come up with incentives like offering women the ability to freeze their eggs. But evidently, Japanese women have the lowest rate of giving birth through in vitro fertilization in the world. So this is a horrible scheme. And so their answer right now is men are no longer getting into relationships with women in Japan. They're not having children with women in Japan. So what their harebrained scheme, guys, this is why you have to keep the state out of your business. This is the reason why the state should not rule over people, because when these things happen, when the state is too involved in the lives of people, it destroys everything. And then it becomes desperate because it realizes that it will no longer be able to survive. And who are the people behind the state? The boomers. So, I mean, if you look at what's happening in China, you have like thugs going around to houses in China demanding that women give birth, or else they'll destroy their homes. They'll take they'll take any animals that they have. They won't be able to eat. This is what they did during the one child policy era in China. They would destroy your house if you had multiple children. There were acts and things that involved sterilization, which was not necessarily consented to. It was a terrible things that happened over there, and now they're demanding that women have multiple kids. So if you're a woman who's married and already has a child or two children, they will demand that you have continue having more children. And the reason why they do this is because they statistically, married couples are people who already have children are more likely to have more children. So they're forcing it's really disgusting. It's kind of like a puppy mill where they're demanding that they just keep on making more and more kids, and they're going to use threats to force these people to do this. Of course, people can no longer provide for themselves. Younger people who are single cannot provide for themselves, and the state is also not paying up. They're like, oh, we'll offer this many yuan if you have children, but then they don't pay these couples the yuan. So they're gaslighting them. That only erodes trust in society and eventually leads to fewer people having children entirely. It's just not going to work. Western society is beginning to collapse. Westernized societies are beginning to collapse, and what Japan is doing is really shameful, in my opinion. I think the entire thing is shameful because what they're trying to do is they're trying to produce single mothers, which is something that I've heard people suggest should be done in South Korea, that has the lowest birth rate in the world. They took the crown from Japan, but it's like their solution is like, okay, well, we're just going to have more. We just need more single mothers, and the government will subsidize the child care and all of these different things. This sounds like a horrible idea. Absolutely terrible idea. So you're going to have a bunch of children who are born into fatherless homes, and they're going to be raised entirely by this generation of women. And these are in patriarchal societies. South Korea is a patriarchal society. Okay. Japan is a patriarchal society. And you're going to basically allow, just like in the United States, have entire generation raised, and all future generations born to and raised only by women, and incentivizing women to go off, get pregnant, and have these children entirely on their own. It takes a lot of work to raise a child. It is very difficult to raise a child on your own. And then where's all of the money going to come from to subsidize this, to subsidize childcare? Because unlike there will be no child support. There will be no child support for these women. So to take care of all of these children, they would have to raise taxes, and they would have to essentially institute something like a bachelor's tax, or a bachelor's tax, but it would be a tax on women who don't have children, and men who don't have children, so are married and so forth. So this is kind of crazy. So you'd basically be taxing the general population to subsidize childbirth, and by single mothers. This is their grand harebrained scheme, guys. The crypto markets are getting really funny right now, guys. Stocks are beginning to collapse. You need to actually act fast. One of the best things you could do is actually to learn about day trading. Let me just tell you a little bit about that quickly. I just want to tell you a little bit about the Crypto Trading for Dummies blueprint. With this blueprint, you'll learn how crypto day trading can help you earn daily profits, even starting small. Imagine making $30 a day with $100 or even hundreds daily trading small amounts, working just an hour a day. It's written so simply that even a fifth grader can do it. With banks collapsing and the economy in chaos, this skill is your lifeline. Click the link in the description to check it out now.
誰にも止められない。
Well, that's impossible. Of course, I don't want to do that. I can't imagine raising a child in Tokyo just because if I wanted to keep working full time and, if my husband also worked full time, it's just so hard.
それこそ卵子を預けといて、あと凍結しといて後でとか、後にこう伸ばす。本来だったらね、結婚して早く子供を産んでっていうのも一つありじゃないかなと。
出産とか子育てをしてる時間があるんであれば、やっぱり仕事を頑張ってキャリアを積みたいし、ここで、自分が頑張って管理職とか部長とかになって、自分の後に続く女性にその道を指し示したいんだっていう。
本来あってはならないっていうふうに政府からも通達されてることですけど、キャリアにブランクをつけて会社に戻ってくるっていうことをすると、やっぱり昇進しづらくなったりとか、産休だけ取って出産をしたんですけど、やっぱり仕事に穴を開けてしまったなっていう感覚が、そんなこと思わなくていいんですけど、世の女性は思わなくていいんですけど、でどうしても思ってしまう自分もいて。
As pregnancy
So here's the interesting thing. On one hand, they want these. This is guys. This is psychotic. So, because keep in mind, Japan doesn't have enough workers, so they don't want women to leave the workforce. They can't afford for women to leave the workforce, so they want women, including women in their 40s, to get pregnant, have children, even into their 40s, be single mothers, and then raise these children while they're still employed full time in the workforce for decades. This is madness. Who came up with this? This is the reason why, guys, governments eventually destroy societies. Governments are supposed to be kept small. People are not supposed to fear their government. The government is supposed to fear the people because the people are supposed to have ultimate control and rule over the government. When you have tyranny running wild, these are the kinds of things that end up happening. They absolutely are, and this is how you end up with a dying nation. Japan is a country that is 100% dying. Don't let anyone fool you. Don't let anyone tell you anything different. Japan is 100% dying. The country is dying, and if it keeps up this way, it probably will not be around within 200 years. Like there will be no population left in Japan in 200 years. All right, we already know that within about 50 years from now, a substantial portion, like half of Japan's population will be gone, and many if not most of the people left in Japan will all be old people. In China right now, it's happening even faster. That within the next 25, not even 25, like 10 to 20 years, more than half of China's population is going to be old people. People who are like geriatrics, like in their 60s and 70s. More than half of their population will be old people. There is no way in hell they can sustain such a population. Okay, like that's the very end for that. That's the very end for them. There's nothing they can do, right? Because they will not have enough people to buy products, to produce wealth. It's over. And this is because of the bad decisions that these companies made, that these countries made, and and their tyrannical behavior. Guys, that's why, guys, we're heading towards one of the greatest wealth transfers in the history of the world. You can see what's happening with the tariffs right now with Trump. The markets are melting down. Hard times are coming. ATMs are going to stop working. Banks are going to chain up the doors. Protect your wealth and safeguard your future with crypto. Angry's Crypto Academy will teach you how to buy, sell, trade, and invest in crypto. We'll tell you exactly which coins will mint new millionaires and how to spot potential coins to invest in. Don't miss out. The Academy is linked in the description of the video. What do you guys think regarding this situation, though? Because it's going to only continue to get worse. Japan is literally demanding that women have more babies now. They're demanding that women in their 40s have children. Anyone with common sense knows that's not realistic. You know, anything after 35 is a geriatric pregnancy, and they're demanding that women in their 40s have babies and they continue working while they have these babies. This just shows you how desperate things become when you don't plan ahead, and when you just do things. You know, you basically demoralize the men in your country, because guys, without men, a country without its men is not a country. A country without its men is a wasteland. If men refuse to have children, guys, that's it. You know, men are not only the gatekeepers of men are the gatekeepers of society. Men are the gatekeepers of prosperity. Men are also the gatekeepers of reproduction, because when men stop attempting to reproduce, that is the end of your society. When men say, yeah, we're done, we're not going to engage with women, we're just basically going to focus on ourselves, playing with our little action figures, playing with our toys, and living our best lives, free of the responsibilities of having to be with a wife, having to have children, having to continue, giving money to the state endlessly, and basically live and instead choosing to live simple lives of luxury and comfort. When men go down this path, things change substantially, and there's no real coming back from it, because men don't need women to survive, but women need men to survive. Men pay 80% of all taxes, while women make 80% of all consumer purchases. The state cannot survive without men, but the state at the same time is so desperate. The state at the same time is so desperate that it's doing everything and anything it can do to drum up the birth rate without basically outright forcing pregnancy, which in China, they're literally trying to force pregnancy. Like, literally, go and get pregnant. We don't care how you do it. Go and get pregnant. How am I going to take care of a baby if I cannot take care of myself? Listen, we don't want any trouble, all right? But we will destroy your roof. We'll tear down your house. We'll take your pig. You'll take your goat. You won't be able to eat. Just do as we tell you, all right? And, you have women who are like, we already have 2 kids. They're like, you need to have 3 or 4, all right? You need to keep having more. What do you mean I need to keep having more? You need to keep having more. All right. And they will harass these women. That's what they're doing in China. They'll harass them. They will call them multiple times on the phone. They will send people from the government to come to their homes and knock on the door. These are people who already have children. All right. A woman can have 3 kids in China, and they will come to her house and demand that she have even more. And they're not providing, they tell lies and say that they're going to subsidize and provide help, and they don't do any of that. All right. They don't do any of that. So they're basically overburdening families that already have children, because young people will no longer have children. You have young people, the Gen Zers, that are sleeping on the streets right now. A lot of millennials have also given up. And so many women, what ended up happening is, this is very interesting. There's a gender imbalance in China. So there are more men than women, but because of the actions of women in society now, there's actually a surplus of what they call leftover women. So they, in Japan, they call them something like Christmas fruitcake, and in China, they have all kinds of names, like rotten fish or something, or spoiled eggs. But so it's a very, 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 it's a very, very problematic thing. And as a result of this, you have a large group of these individuals who cannot find a man. They cannot get into a relationship. And now they are stuck in a situation where, they make all of these demands, but men are no longer playing along. Men are keeping their money to themselves. They are focusing on their relationships with God. They're basically working as much as they choose to work, and that's it. They're saving all of their money, and they're living simple lives of luxury and comfort. They live far below their means, and by doing that, they can essentially eat whatever they want. They can sleep whenever they want. They can wake up whenever they want. They can work whenever they want. Some guys, they're not even working anymore. They're simply living off the interest that they receive from their money in the bank. So they put their money in the bank, and they make enough from interest. They make enough from the interest just to live off that. So, like, for example, in China, you can live in a village. You can live in a village and you don't have a mortgage. You don't have any of this. And there's a lot of you people in my comments who talk a lot of jazz, and you're like, Angry, you don't know how miserable it is to live in a village. You think village life is wonderful. It's better than being homeless. Think about this very carefully. If you have a roof over your head, right? You have a place to live. Maybe it doesn't have running water or whatever. You have a roof over your head. You have no real major expenses. You have access to water. You have access to food. You have a place to wash your butt. You have a place to go to the bathroom, even if it's an outhouse. But think about this. You have no additional expenses. You have no additional expenses. Most men can live quite comfortably like this. I will say there's a lot of these men on my channel. While there are a lot of men who sleep in the woods and they sleep there's a lot of men who sleep on the floor. Shout out to the floor gang. There's a lot of very spoiled men on my channel. These are the men who are going to end up in tent city because they live. I don't understand. I really don't like these men. They cannot accept simple living. They want to live these luxurious lives. These are the guys I have some of these idiots in my comments who are like, I make $200,000 a year and I can't survive. And people some people rightfully go after these dudes like, how the hell are you making $200,000 a year and you cannot survive? You should be absolutely ashamed of yourself. And of course, then they run away like snakes because they know how ridiculous it absolutely sounds. Oh, the real estate, the property, the things cost way too much where I live. You sound like an absolute idiot. $200,000 a year. You cannot afford to survive and you have nothing in savings. These people, guys, that just shows you there's a lot of crazy people. And then when these people end up living in their cars, living in the streets, living in the woods, they have all kinds of stories that this happened through no fault of their own. They don't want to admit that they are fools. All right. If you live in a place where you're making $200,000 a year, but rent is eating away at everything, you need to go and live in an RV. You need to live in your car. You need to live in an RV. There's no way in hell that you should be doing this. There was a guy who basically saved up, I don't know if it was like $60,000 in a couple of months. I don't know, because I guess he was like one of the tech bros, and he lived in his car. He lived in his car, saved up like $60,000 in a couple of months, and he made a video where he's like, I'm going down to Florida right now. I got a piece of land, and I'm going to and I worked so hard. I saved all of this money, and now I'm putting a tiny house on that piece of land. All right, bought himself a piece of land. Bought himself a tiny house, putting the tiny house on the piece of land, and he's going to be living in that tiny house now. Okay? And there's a lot of these men who are saying these things, and they're psychos. Like, you're a psychopath. If you're making $200,000 a year and you refuse to make any compromises, you're out of your damn mind. You're out of your damn mind. If you can't, guys, like right now, we're heading for horrible times. I have my crypto. I've got my crypto stack. I've got thousands of dollars here at home. Thousands of dollars just chilling right now. Okay. That's because I don't have a wife. I don't have kids. So I'm good. I've been stacking up food like crazy. I just bought like, how much did I spend yesterday? I spent over $500 yesterday for food, for groceries. I'm going to buy some more, maybe another 200, a little over $200. So about $700 in groceries. You guys are like, what the hell are you doing, Angry? I'm stocking up. I'm not playing games like you. Like, you guys are, a lot of you don't listen to Uncle Angry. I'm older than you. I am wiser than you. And even if I'm not older than you, I'm still wiser than you. I see a lot of people who insult the preppers. And of course, they're not perfect. A lot of preppers don't get everything right. But a lot of you guys are fools. You're insulting the preppers, but guess what? When everything goes downhill, guess who's good? Guess who has water? Guess who has food? Guess who has food? Guess who has all the things that they need to survive? Guess who has medicine? And you guys were like, F the preppers. Like, bro, you're out there. You'll be out there suffering in the streets. You're hungry. Many of you can't even miss a single meal. Like, you will go absolutely crazy if you miss a single meal. You're out there insulting the preppers, insulting people, and coming after people who are preparing themselves for hard times, preparing themselves for hell on earth. Because that's really where we're at right now, guys. This is hell on earth. The fall of the global population is hell on earth. Okay? It really, really is. We all have to be very, very aware of where things are headed. Okay? You need to be prepared. Okay, you need to have something like, guys, my generator. I have my generator. I have multiple power banks. I bought two. I just bought two more power banks yesterday. I have one coming today, another one coming in a couple of days. 2 more power banks, okay? And I have another, and then I have another power bank somewhere. I've got to go look for it. And then again, I have my generator. I have a giant solar panel, so I can lug it outside, and if like worst case scenario, I can recharge my what do you call it? Recharge my generator rapidly. I'm not playing games. I am not stupid. I have prepared for all the things. All right. I have multiple internet connections. I have 2 internet connections. I have a wired connection, and then I also have T-Mobile home internet. It's just a box. So if it's not Starlink, but if T-Mobile's lines are still functional, like if they're what do you call those things? If the cell phone towers are still functional, then I should be perfectly fine and still be able to get Wi-Fi to get service. I don't know if like RT. Let me look this up with you guys. RT Mobile cell phone towers, how powered by generators. Let me see here by backup generators. Let's see if that's the case. Guys, check this out. This is very interesting. I'm shocked. So yes, T-Mobile cell phone towers are powered by backup generators. T-Mobile has made significant investments in network hardening, including placing fixed backup generators at critical sites nationwide. This ensures that their networks remain operational during emergencies and natural disasters. Okay, so if we have a blackout, let's look at this blackout because Canada turns off the power due to the tariffs. We would people with T-Mobile let me see, mobile phone service and home internet, T-Mobile wireless home internet would still have service, right? So let's look that up. Let's see if that's the case. Let's see here. So it varies. T-Mobile cell phone towers do have backup generators, but their coverage during a power outage can vary by location. Some areas may experience service disruptions if the backup power isn't sufficient or the fiber backhaul is affected. While T-Mobile has made investments in network hardening, it's not guaranteed that all areas will maintain service during extended blackouts. So it's a 50-50. But guess what? At least I have hope. At least there's a possibility that I can still have internet and have phone service. And I'm thinking about getting Starlink. I'll probably get Starlink eventually. That's another thing I need to look into doing, getting Starlink, so that because just if something goes down, and just having Starlink available, and if I can just set it up whenever I need to set it up, I might just look into doing that so that I can, because if I need internet, I need internet. And that's hilarious, guys. Many of you guys have been sitting and messing around and fooling around, and now you're going to find yourselves out there with nothing, and many of you are going to be broke. You need to be investing in crypto as well, because crypto is what's really going to carry a lot of people through these insane times. Just to make it clear, let me ask you something. When the banks collapse, and trust me, it's coming, will you be ready? Imagine waking up to ATMs that don't work, bank doors chained shut, and millions of people left with nothing. No cash, no access to their savings, and no way to survive. But it doesn't have to be that way for you. That's why I created Angry's Crypto Academy, to teach you everything you need to know about crypto so you can protect yourself and your family. You'll learn how to buy, sell, and even day trade crypto for a living. Plus, we alert you to new crypto trends so you can profit before everyone else even knows what's happening. Right now, I've just published an exclusive investment guide inside the Academy. and it's linked in the description below. In it, I reveal the one coin that could make you a millionaire. A coin so revolutionary, it could change everything. If you missed out on Bitcoin and Ethereum, this is your second chance. This isn't just about financial freedom, it's about survival. When the system collapses and everyone else is selling, you'll be the one buying, prepared to weather the storm and thrive while others struggle to survive. Don't wait. This knowledge isn't optional, it's critical. The link's in the description. Go check it out now.
Is more and more encouraged. Some other women in Tokyo confident about it.
そういうその子宮系の何か異常とかも言われたこと一度もないですし、めっちゃ体多分丈夫なんですよね。先代から結構多かったので、多分それもあってあんまり考えてないですね。
Having said that, now all women capable of becoming pregnant naturally after a certain age, and more women seek treatments for that.
要するに子供ができるギリギリまでは自分の時間とか楽しんで、その後に子供ができるんだったら子供が欲しいですって人が多いです。35歳以降に結果的にうまくできなかったので、不妊治療っていう形でその医師の方に相談をしてるっていう人が多いんじゃないかと思うんですけども。
But what's even harder for women might be finding a partner to get married. Clearly not all men willing to marry those women, whether or not they are capable of giving birth.
独身の頃はやっぱり結婚のハードルが高いなとは思ってた。相手に求める条件も基準が上がってく。で、今のこんな自分を受け入れてくれる人は果たしているのだろうかっていう心配もあったりとかして、子供を産めるのかどうかっていうのは本能的にまず見てる部分だと思うんだよね。
Because of that reason, some people say those women already checked out. So why even bother trying?
女性の幸せは結婚で子供を育てる、母親になるっていうのがすごく一番子供ができそうだった時期までで一番葛藤するじゃないですか。今は全然子供いないのを全然受け入れてるからもう諦め。そしたらもうそこをもうそれを幸せに変えていく自分の時間をすごく楽しみたい。やっぱどうやって自分が幸せに感じるかって考え方を変えないと。
今これだけ結婚件数が減っていますから、少子化は本当に続いていっちゃうんですよ。婚外子なんてのは無理ですから、やっぱりそういうことは社会的通念として。
As more and more women refuse marriage or childbirth, especially at an early age, I see more and more people, especially men, blame feminism for that. And you could see something similar in Korea as well. But what's in common in both countries are, it seems like the more we blame feminism, the more women resist it. And some people criticize that Japan's still far behind the rest of the world.
In the most recent Gender Gap Index report released by the World Economic Forum, Japan ranked 116th overall out of 146 countries. Challenging Japan's male-dominated politics is a difficult but necessary job.
We have to recognize as a national crisis.
Some Japanese women claim Japan needs more feminism until men acknowledge women's hardships.
フェミニズムとかってツイッターとかでは盛んに言われてたりとか、今世の中はそっち方向に行ってるみたいなこと言われますけど、まだまだなんか女性の立場って弱いな。
So these countries are now beginning to die off. The populations are beginning to die off, and the feminists. And while Japan and South Korea are criticizing feminists for what's happening, the feminists are demanding more representation for women in the country and recognition of the hardships of women. Keep in mind that women are among the most privileged in the world in these countries, and they actually have a series of rights that even women in the United States don't have, and they want more. This is what happens when you do not have a country that has a firm patriarchal structure. It begins to fall apart and the population begins to collapse. This is 100% the mouse utopia. It's men walking away. Just like mice walked away, it's now men walking away. And this is why you now have a situation where Japan has to demand that women have more babies, even women in their 40s. Let me know what you guys think, if you agree that this is really the beginning of the end for, these modern women who basically said, I don't need no man, and now they're going to have to go and hang out with Yogi and Boo Boo in the woods. Let me know what you guys think, and we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA Men walking away, and cheers.
Nothing says you care like crypto. Nothing can compare. Nothing says you care like crypto. Oh, nothing can compare to crypto.